Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're diving into 5 of the most disturbing things carried out by the Office of Naval Intelligence, Halo's equivalent of the Illuminati, a shadow organisation within the government that carry out a wealth of unethical acts, all for the greater good of humanity. So grab your tinfoil hats and let's look at why conspiracy theories in the Halo universe are so damn popular. Number 5. The Orion Project. Before the highly unethical but arguably necessary Spartan 2 program, there existed a project that was almost as sinister. The Orion Project began as humanity's first step into human experimentation and human augmentation, and was the beginning of ONI's shady future. In the 24th century, humanity began expanding across the stars, and the further humanity spread, the less control the United Earth government, a globalist contingent that ruled over Earth and the Orion arm, had over humanity. To counter this loss of power, ONI preemptively kickstarted the Orion Project in 2321, taking military volunteers and hoping to chemically buff them up in almost every way possible. But the project was deemed a failure, shut down, and the volunteers were sent back to their original positions. These volunteers would all go on to die mysteriously within a year of the project being shut down for reasons that remained classified by ONI. Over 150 years later, the insurrection, the rebellion, was in its most heated stage, so ONI relaunched the Orion Project in secrecy, and the first mission that the Orion operatives went on, called Operation Charlemagne, ended up being a resounding success, but this success bred conspiracy theories. Were the military using super soldiers? Nobody knew. After many more successful missions, things started getting bad. Real bad. Side effects like extreme PTSD became prevalent, and the genetic modifications and immunosuppressants began causing irreversible degenerative conditions and genetic fragmentation, and in 2506, Orion members were reassigned and ONI very quietly shut the program down. But the side effects continued. Orion operatives were experiencing tumours and extreme migraines, something typical of radiation exposure. These were, in fact, unknown side effects of the augmentations, and ONI created a fake disorder called Boren syndrome, said to be caused by exposure to carbines and plasma grenades to cover it up. Operatives who had kids required special injections to help stave off severe health defects, and one of the few operatives to go back into service relatively unscathed was the legend Sergeant Avery Johnson, so badass he can defy the effects of a shadow organization's lethal, gene-altering chemicals. Number 4. Ben Giraud. The case of Ben Giraud is a shocking insight into how Orwellian ONI truly are, and it can't help but make you wonder how many more Ben Girauds there have been in the past that went crazy and just disappeared. In 2558, Giraud was hired by ONI to write an in-depth report on the Master Chief. As he began digging through his backstory, speaking to people who supposedly knew him, served alongside him, etc., he began to notice that something was off. Stories weren't adding up, and there was conflicting evidence. Everything was pointing towards a cover-up. The data that he was being fed by ONI was leading him down a path away from Chief being a hero, and towards one much, much darker. After stepping off the beaten path, Ben realised he was being monitored and shadowed by ONI, and after he was sedated and fined by ONI for talking to the wrong person, he decided to leak all of the information that he'd acquired so far online. This ended up attracting thousands of conspiracy theorists from all across the galaxy, and ultimately, Ben jumped down the rabbit hole and ultimately uncovered the truth behind the Spartan 2 program. The Chief was kidnapped as a child to become a Spartan, which led ONI to leak fake footage of Master Chief supposedly killing innocent civilians. After narrowly escaping assassination by ONI agents in his apartment, he followed his intel to a glass planet and found a data mine of records that proved Chief was innocent, and also that all the stories he'd been fed by the people who supposedly knew Chief had been lies. Now he knew the truth and thought that he was one step ahead of ONI, he planned to expose the entire organisation live on ECB News. But of course, anybody thinking they're one step ahead of ONI are always wrong. As he was going through his evidence and sources live on the news, the skeptical host combined with Ben's sources and evidence suddenly being disproved made him seem like nothing but a committed conspiracy theorist, and it became apparent that ONI had used Ben as a pawn to put all of the rumours and theories surrounding the Spartan 2 program to rest. After appearing like nothing but a madman in front of millions of people on live television, the feed was cut and he was arrested by federal agents and taken to Midnight Facility by ONI to just disappear. The most disturbing thing about the case of Ben Giraud is it shows how far ONI are willing to go to punish people who get too close to the truth, and that sometimes conspiracy theories are labelled as such for a reason. Number 3. Undercover betrayal and treaty breaking. In 2553, official peace treaties between the elites and the humans were signed by Thelvadam and Lord Hood. Many hoped that this would end the long history of violence between the two species, and the two could work together to finally begin to better the galaxy. ONI had different plans. Given the long history of bad blood, they needed to ensure that the elites could never rise up and violently break the treaty, so they went to work ensuring they never could. One such case of this betrayal happened during the Blooding Years, the years after the Human Covenant War, where the Arbiter was trying to unite the elites and create peace. During a battle between the Arbiter's Swords of Sanghelios and the Covenant Remnant, the Servants of Abiding Truth, the Arbiter had to reluctantly call upon Lord Hood and the UNSC Infinity to save him and his troops from a losing battle. But with the Infinity came the UNSC Port Stanley, an ONI stealth prowler disguised as a Jackal pirate ship. As the Infinity saved the Arbiter and his troops, the Port Stanley destroyed a few of the Arbiter's ships to make sure that it wasn't too much of a resounding victory, and to ensure that the elites wouldn't become too powerful. ONI tried a similar thing in 2558 to an elite that we all know and love, Artas Vadum. He was designated a priority target for some reason by ONI, and he ended up shooting down 3 of their prowlers that were trailing his carrier, the Shadow of Intent. We don't know why he was designated a priority target, nor do we know why he shot the prowlers down, and we haven't heard anything from him since, but this just proves that no ally, no matter their previous actions, is safe from ONI, and it makes the Arbiter's opener to lock in Halo 5 all the more applicable.
ONI, out of the shadows.
Number 2. Midnight Facility. Midnight Facility is where people are taken in the Halo universe to disappear. Hidden within an asteroid in an unknown asteroid belt, Midnight is where people highest on ONI's hit list are taken to be tortured, held, and have information extracted. From insurrectionists to ex-Covenant prophets, to elite terrorists, to people who got too close to the truth, anyone ONI deemed dangerous to humanity's greater good is taken to the facility and stored in claustrophobic, translucent cubes, capable of releasing gas to sedate the inmates, and so confined they send their inhabitants insane. The facility itself is monitored by an AI, and has its own highly trained security force, given the severity of those stored there. Midnight Facility is not a place you want to find yourself in, and the idea that it's simply built to store ex-Covenant members and rebels is purely invalidated by the case of Ben Giraud. Remember, Big Brother is always watching, so fall in line and don't think outside the box, or you might get put in the box. And in the number 1 spot, we have flood experimentation. Now, yeah, the previously mentioned things that ONI have done might be extremely fucked up, it might be disturbing, it might be Orwellian, but playing around with a parasite far beyond human comprehension that used to practically exist on different planes of existence to us, and that could turn the entire galaxy into zombies in 72 hours, is without a doubt the worst thing they have ever done. The only known place this occurred is the Mona Lisa, a freighter-turned-prison ship that originally transferred inmates between penal colonies. This changed after the Battle of Installation 04 and a first contact with the Flood. Around a month following the events of Halo Combat Evolved, ONI Section 3, the ONI division responsible for innovation using alien tech and Black Ops, among many other things, took command of the prison ship. Their plan was to turn it into a mobile flood research and experimentation lab. It was easily disposable and had an abundance of fresh hosts to experiment on. The ship was perfect. After taking the ship to the wreckage of Installation 04 to collect samples of the flood, Section 3 began experimentation on human and elite inmates, with the goal of learning how to control the parasite, no doubt with plans to ultimately weaponize it. As you'd expect, there was soon a containment breach, and the flood quickly began to spread across the ship at an uncontrollable rate. The fact that only higher-ups and scientists even had the thought to toy with the species that wiped out the most advanced civilization the galaxy has ever seen, the corrupt remnants of humanity's creators, is disturbing enough, but that chances are they were going to try and weaponize it should easily make this the most disturbing action ever carried out by them. The Flood are like nature in the Halo universe. Uncontrollable, unexplainable, and something humanity should never try to fuck with. So, that's about it. They are 5 of the most disturbing acts carried out by ONI, but by no means are they the only fucked up things they've ever done. If there's enough demand, I might make another video like this, sort of like a part 2, so if you want to see that, then don't forget to leave a like down below. Also, be sure to let me know in the comments what you think the most disturbing thing carried out by ONI is. There's honestly just way too much to pick from, but messing with the Flood definitely takes the cake for me, no doubt. Big thank you to ArdentPrayer, Tomahawk, Chris G, Jack Madden, and Stefan Curcic for the massively generous support over on Patreon. If you feel like giving your boy an extra hand, then it's patreon.com/HiddenXperia. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.